Thank you once again, Bukola and Eneni. Thank you, Jola Women, for staying the course of the Jola Woman podcast. Before we started, they were asking for the inspiration behind Jola Woman podcast. And I said to them, it is building our community, moving from being transactional to actually knowing each other, building each other, learning from each other. And I wouldn't say that the past two editions, I would say not that the past two editions, I have truly learned a lot. And I've heard people come to me and say they've learned as well. So this might sound transactional, but if you're not on the Jola Woman podcast yet, you're missing out. You need to join us. Today, we have 5 interesting subjects, but we're all women of faith. And it's irrespective of what faith you are, but we're all women of faith. And we are saying, as God's ambassadors, we're trying to promote what it should be like, or sharing opinions and thoughts on fashion, music, lifestyle, being married, being single, business. Oh my goodness, that business one, it's a very interesting topic. But then I'll start with Bukola. Bukola is going to speak about music. And I said to her before we started, I said, is it true though? Has music really got different altars? You know how, I grew up listening to Fela Kuti. My father loved Fela. Or is it just the dancing? But you know how they say Fela too had a shrine and an altar? I know, not that they said, but I do know. So what is it about music, Bukola?
Okay, thank you. And honestly, it's actually very deep, music on its own. And I'll take us back to creation, at least from a Christian point of view. In heaven, the actual person that was labeled as the chief musician was Satan himself. And while he was still in that role, if I can use that expression, he was the absolute best. And the picture that has been depicted was finding him in that moment. He would always bring music that was so deep that everyone gets lost and high, And after some time, he also started feeling like, oh well, I'm not doing badly myself. This music I'm creating is great. I know people fall and people have these experiences just from, the music that I have brought to life, as it were. And at some point, it started getting to him and he felt, well, I think I should be the one, people are worshiping now. And so
there's an altar somewhere.
There's an altar somewhere there. So, and of course, the good book tells us he was sent to earth to say, okay, there can't be two masters in heaven, so you go to earth. So that same music creativity is here now. The background to this is that God made us in his image. And if he created all of this and we are made in his image, it means that we are all very creative in our own spheres. He also gave everyone talents. So everyone has their own their talents that their creativity should come to life in. So it goes into the music. Music is an instrument that allows you to experience different things: sorrow, happiness, excitement. There's a music there's a tone or a harmony or something, a tune for everything. So, and in moments when you are excited and you tell yourself you want to listen to some fast beats, uplifting. When you're sad, most times you kind of like enter a worship type mode, and in those spaces you are actually creating altars of sorts. So you're either an altar of thanksgiving, where you are happy about something that has happened and you are grateful, you're in a space of gratitude, or you are in a moment of reflection where, you want to just go deep. You say, I need to find answers here. So you are more reflective, more mellow, more almost melancholy in that moment. But you find yourself, when music is playing, that you actually get lost in it. So there's a high and there's a low.
So would you say, Bukola, would you say that, what they call the gospel music and the secular music, would you say that all these types of tunes have different altars, and then is one lending itself to that particular altar of any circular music being played? And is there like a fine line between crossing that boundary, or do you bring yourself back in time? Because I love music, I love to dance, and I'm like, is it that I will not listen to Ashake anymore? So there's never really a fine cut definitive line, I think. So what do you think?
So for me, man is spirit first. And there's always a spirit behind everything. And there's also a source to everything that you do or you have or you get. Your creativity is from a source. So if you're pulling your creativity from a positive source or your maker source, it will be nice, and the spirit behind it will always come through that music. If you're pulling your music from a different source, then that spirit is also lurking in that background, as it were. So not naming any musician, because I don't know the sources of how people get their creativity, but you as a listener, there are some times when you are in a particular moment in music and you're trying to experience the music and you find yourself, just either being too excited or being too... Once you have a check, I always say your intuition would never fail you.
True.
Then it's time to step back and say, let me even see if I can unearth the spirit behind this music.
True.
Sometimes you go into people's interviews about the music they've created and you're listening and you're like, is that where this music came from? And you immediately get your answer in that moment.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, I was worshiping God yesterday and I started, this tune came and this lyrics came, you kind of understand the background and the spirit behind that music.
Yeah.
So music has a spirit.
Apparently. Did you know that, Jola women? Well, now I do. But then I guess what you said rings true, that let's just check and let's just be on the lookout and just be careful. We'll be right back. Thank you.